you don't have to have your face on the broadcast. There's this little thing called screen share, and you can click on screen share, and I usually do desktop or full screen and start screen sharing. It's really psychedelic funky to us, but what this does is it no longer has a camera on you. So you could do this in your curlers and your bathrobe or whatever. It only is going to show your audience what you actually see on the screen. So right now, the audience is watching live from anywhere in the world because I sent this link out yesterday to my PLN. And so what they're actually seeing is this PowerPoint here. The nice thing about this is it automatically records and uploads this to YouTube. So you don't have to transfer anything. It's just already up there on YouTube, and you have the links to be able to go ahead and share out with your students. And that way, if they need to watch your lesson 100 times before they get it, they can watch it. Nobody has to know they watched it 100 times and that they're stupid, because they feel stupid if they have to watch it 100 times if they don't get it. And nobody has to know that. And so you're able to meet those individual learning needs of your students. And that's what I love about it. And my teachers love it too, because then they don't feel stupid. They can go back and fast forward, rewind to that particular part they need and go, oh, that's right, I was supposed to click that button. And then they can just proceed from there. They don't have to watch the whole thing from the start. But what we're really in here for is to learn about Alabama Virtual Library, and it's really cool. Are any of you already familiar a little bit with Alabama Virtual Library? It's really cool. There's some great resources in there that will serve your kids well here, and when they go on back into the regular schools, they'll have an up on some of the other kids. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nikki Robertson. I've been teaching in Alabama for 22 years. I start my 23rd year here. Actually, I just moved to working in Limestone County as instructional technology facilitator. So what I'll be doing from now on is helping teachers learn how to integrate technology into their lessons. But I've worked with 5th and 6th graders. I've worked in elementary libraries. I've worked in high school libraries, and I've done quite a few things, so I'm always here to help you. So the first thing I want to do is show you something called Doctopus. So that's why I need you on the computer. So if you haven't started at the computer, go ahead and start at the computer. If you have a QR code reader on your device, you could come up here and scan the QR code. For the rest of you who don't have a QR code reader, just open up a new tab, and if you need help knowing how to do that, raise your hand. Open up a new tab and just type this into the address bar. It's going to be a little form, and this is going to enable me to push out this PowerPoint to you. So it's http://snap.bu/AF6E. And if you need help typing that in, let me know. If you need to walk all the way up there to the front and scan it with your device, you can do that. No. It's just a tiny little form for me to get your basic information so I can push this PowerPoint out. Is it blocked?
Well, she didn't give me that.
I bet you have more. What are we typing in?
Make sure you have it typed in correctly, because usually that's the main thing. Yeah, you need a slash after instead of a period. Let's see if that works. Yeah.
So I don't need to put at the Pinnacle schools.
Yes, you do. You need to put in that folder. That's a good question to ask.
But I'm not sure what we're doing.
Yeah, we're just getting some basic information so I can send you this entire presentation.
So I need to go to this link here.
Right. Just type that up in the address bar. And let's see if that works.
Okay.
We got one person in with it. We're not letting in.
The teachers have very little access to it.
All right, that's okay.
What? I can sign them all into mine, can I?
Oh, no.
Eric, can I sign them all into mine?
What happened to it?
So this
I'll bring it back up.
But I mean, I could just do this. Hold on, just let me do this.
Still not going to do mine.
And I don't have to quote you.
Well, yeah, sure. I thought it was cleared up.
Just Griffin gonna go around and log everybody in. Yeah, there you go.
Fill that out.
Unblocked.
Yeah, so she'll need to type that, her information in, Ms. Griffin. Now look at you with your access. How do you get it?
She's got access.
And then once you fill out that
Perfect.
basic information,
If
make
you
sure you
just
get
get,
the whole email in.
if you just give me a second, I'll just put it in the.
Then you can just close that particular
I thought I already
tab.
did that.
You didn't give me that website.
I gave you the, what? I gave you
This website you just gave,
the Doctopus?
whatever this is.
It's just a form, it's just a Google form. All right, and then you can just close that particular tab when it says
I did.
next.
This we close it.
Access denied.
Yeah.
Oh, denied.
I mean, you can keep on going around it, but it just might be easier to just.
I didn't turn mine off. Thank you.
Okay.
And you're waiting to get logged in too?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Yeah, Ms. Griffin's gonna come around and log you in.
Well, there's also.
So I'll show you real quick what this is doing so you can kind of see what it's doing and why I'm doing this. See right here how it's generating the fields? So as you type it in, it's going to put that information in. And we can see right here that fields, we got this part, so I can easily come back in here and just correct this if I need to.
You want to put mine in
That
there?
should be unblocked now.
All right.
You
Right.
need to put your, again, you're gonna need to put your credentials in.
Mine doesn't work that way.
I'm not even just talking about, like, just your desktop login. Right now, it's picture of student.
You talking about the Barracuda web?
Yeah, Barracuda.
Mine doesn't work.
Oh yeah, take the dot.
You got that?
Just go to site, see if it-
Yay, there we go.
Here, okay.
Yeah, just say it aloud. All right, and just fill out that information and you're done.
Thank you.
Yeah. The nice thing is with your kids, you only have to gather this information once. It's really easy to put the information in. As you have kids coming in and out, you can easily change that information and have it available for them.
Yeah.
Are you, no, I didn't sign. Oh, all I have to do.
Do I have to put it,
Yes.
first part of my email is
Oh, shit, oh, I didn't hear it.
That's all
And
we're
Sarah,
done
if you
with.
come up here and type yours in real quick so that we can go ahead and move on. We were filling out a form, but we're going to move on. So if you'll just first name, last name, and then your email address.
I think someone else from upstairs is coming down too.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. But see, it automatically populates it. And so if you're trying to collect information from your kids really fast, this is just a Google form, a quick little Google form, and you can gather that information really quickly. I know teachers who do this for textbooks and all sorts of other things, so it works really well. And I'll show you later in the presentation what we're going to use this for and how you can use it to get information out to kids. I talked to you about Google Hangouts already at the very beginning. A couple of you weren't in here, but this is basically what we're doing. It's a Google Hangout. It makes learning rewindable. It looks really crazy to us right here until I turn this off, but it's recording everything I'm saying, everything I'm seeing. And this little green thing right here is a screen share. Looks crazy, But what it's doing is it's showing and recording whatever I see on my screen. So whatever you're seeing is what's being recorded and automatically uploads it to YouTube, which then makes learning rewindable in your classroom. So I always like to throw in a few extras, but I love rewindable learning. But we're here today to learn about the Alabama Virtual Library. I know some of you have seen it before, some of you haven't. Alabama Virtual Library is an awesome resource, especially in Alabama where libraries have seen zero money for the last 8 years, going on 9 years. And, you know, smaller rural schools don't have access to books and to really good resources. And you know those reference sources are like $100 a pop for a book for good reference sources. But what the State Department of Alabama has done is they have allocated funding to provide the Alabama Virtual Library free to all citizens in Alabama. And so you can either learn this long URL here, or you can simply go to any search engine and type in AVL. So go ahead and open up a new tab and just type in AVL. And I'm going to take you through a couple of the databases that we'll see in the Alabama Virtual Library. Should be the first thing that pops up, the Alabama Virtual Library. And so go ahead and click on that and you'll see something that should look similar to this right here. Now, there are ebooks and lots of things available in here. Don't get confused by all this at first. What I like to do is go into View All Resources. You could go into Student Resources and choose elementary, middle, high, college, or university. That's also an option. But I just like going to View All Resources because there might be some other resources there that the kids might be interested in that won't show up if you narrow it down with elementary, middle, or high school. Now, each one of these things is a different database that the State Department pays for. I don't know if you guys have ever been out on the internet and researching and you find what you need, and when you try to pull it up it wants you to pay a subscription fee. Have you done that before? It's so irritating. But if you go in through the Alabama Virtual Library, a lot of the different sources that you'd have to pay for are actually free because the State Department of Alabama has already paid those subscription fees. They just want you to go in through the Alabama Virtual Library. If you're not sure about what each one of these are, there's that little I right next to each one. And if you just hover over the I, it gives you a little brief synopsis of what that particular database covers and what you can find in there. So I'm going to show you 3 of my favorites, and then we're going to take a little bit of time to explore and to share what we're finding. So the first one I love, love, love is the Student Research Center. So if you want to click on that, you can. And I love this one for several reasons, but because it gives you so much information to choose from. You've got magazines, newspapers, books and encyclopedias, biographies, county reports, state and providence reports. You even have your primary source documents here, which is really important if you teach social studies and what those primary reports. You have photos, maps, and flags. You even have radio and TV transcripts, which is really kind of cool for the kids to go in and find the information that they could have watched on, 2020 or ABC or wherever. And there's film and video as well. You can also narrow it down by the reading level or lexile level. So if you know your students are on a lower reading level, then you can bring it down to that level that they need to be on. And so I like that. So we can leave, and I also make sure I click full text, because what you don't want, the cover in the front of a book that just tells you what the book's about. If you don't mark full text, it's like doing a book report and only having read that little inside flap in the book instead of the whole book, is how I explain it to the kids. And so make sure you put full text. And you can even narrow down the years between the published dates that you want. So who wants to suggest something that we research, that you might research with your kids in class? Just a topic or a favorite subject you like to research? Constitution. Okay. All right, so we can just type in Constitution. Now, do you think with a search that we might need to type in more than just Constitution? Should we type in, okay. And so that's something I kind of discussed with the kids as well. Is that the best we can do for a search term? Now, notice we've come back with 8,000 results, but we had everything marked. But if for the research paper, they only needed a magazine article, they had the book, they had the website, and they needed a magazine article, they could simply click on magazines, and that's going to narrow it down now to 1,000. But then over under subject, we can narrow it down a little bit more. So I might want to come over here and click where it says United States Constitution, and now it's down to 134, a little bit more manageable for you to be able to search and look through. So then you can come in here, and we can see this is from Junior Scholastic. We have vital speeches of the day. And it's the end of the day. Let's see what this rye whiskey has to do with the, right? And so I can either choose to look at it in PDF format or the HTML. And so I can come in here and I can see the title of this magazine article, because remember we clicked magazine, so we know it's a magazine article. It's Rye Whiskey, who it's written by. It's the American History magazine. It was written August 2014, which, you know, magazines sometimes come out a little bit ahead of time. So you can see it's completely up-to-date information, which is another thing I absolutely love about it, because you are getting the latest and most current information. So then you can come down here and you can actually read that whole entire article just as it would be in the magazine with the pictures and everything, and see if that's really what you want. Now, if you have students who speak a different language, it will translate the page for you. It might not be perfect, but it gets the gist across. So if you have students who speak Spanish and you know you're hard pressed to get that information there, then you can go ahead and change to a different language. Now this is my favorite part, the citation information, because we still need to make sure our kids know about works cited. Now when I show them this, they're like, that's not really the works cited, and I'm like, well yeah, you can find the information for the works cited, but here it's a little kind of a workaround on this one, but on some of the other databases it's not as much of a workaround. But on this particular one you have to click print. Then you can come over here and you can say I want citation format. You can choose what format you want that citation in, and then you act like you're going to print it even though you're not. And now you have, and you'll just cancel out the print, and now you have your works cited right here. So all they have to do is copy and paste that into their works cited page. Right. I know, that's what I say with all this. I'm like, where was this when I had that big old book and I'm like searching through? How dare they? All right, so that's the Student Research Center, and it works the same way with all the whatever search you would do. The next one I want to show you, let's see, because now I forgot which one I wanted to show you. The next one I wanted to show you, oh yeah, book collection. So, do y'all have a library here? Yeah.
Let me just say, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this, and Thursday also, because when Advanced Ed comes and says, "Where's your library?" Here it is. We don't pay anything additional. This is free access to us. We'll make sure that all the sites work somehow. I don't know. But we'll get that opened up to everybody. And I don't think it's a problem because we already had Play-Doh and we had the resources there. Just in case, now we have a library.
Right, which is why I love Alabama Virtual Library, and we really do need to write to the legislators and tell them thank you for funding this, because every year they try to chop it or get rid of it, and this is such a dire resource, especially for these small rural school districts who have nothing. This is something they really want. So you have two different collections. You have the Britannica Ebooks that you can download that have all sorts of different things in here. So you've got, here's some science books about algae, biology, microbiology, and the cells. So it's almost like the textbooks are right in here for you. So you have that. And then this I really love. Literally hundreds of thousands of nonfiction books are available right here in Book Collection Nonfiction. And I do have some teachers say, well, I want my kids to have an actual book source. And what you have to understand is just because we accessed it online doesn't mean it's a web resource. This is a book resource. Even though it's online, it's still a book resource. So again, we could type in U.S. Constitution, if I can spell. All right, U.S. Constitution. And so we can come up and, again, we want it to be full text. We could say, do we want it to be a biography, high school, middle school? And right now I'm just coming up with James Madison. So I can come in and I can click on that full text, and you can see right here, I can even go through the table of contents. For instance, if I want to know about his life as a congressman, I can just skip to that part.
Listen part too.
Right, right. Again, you can choose the language if you need to translate for a student, but this is really a lot of fun. Is those students who have a difficult time reading text like this, and you know with Common Core, reading nonfiction text is a big thing with Common Core. The kids can actually listen, and I didn't bring my speakers. They can actually listen to this, and they can even choose an accent. So if they want to make it fun for themselves, they can choose the Australian accent, and then they can listen to it, and it should read it to them. But I don't have that. I don't have my speakers hooked up, but it will go through and actually read this to them, and so that's really cool. And if they don't have access,
James Madison.
oh, there it goes.
James Madison was the 4th president of the United States, but may be remembered
Right,
for
that's
his role as
Australian
father of the
accent.
U.S. Constitution as a member of the
Right,
Constitutional
yeah, it's tracking the words as well.
1780.
If I'm not mistaken, you can also highlight a word and have it.
Constitutional.
Yeah, so if they don't know how to say a word, they can highlight just that word and have it say it for them. And so that's another way to help them build those reading skills, whether they're in social studies, science, math, whatever, they can do that as well. All right, why did it do that to me? All right.
James Madison. James Madison
All
was
right,
the
we're
4th
done
president of the
listening to
United
you,
States,
Australian
but may
man.
be remembered better for his role.
We're going to turn him. Why are you being mean to me? All right. So you have that as well. Then you can also cite this information, and let's see if I can find that. Okay, over here on the side, all I had to do for this is click Cite, and then I can just choose which format it is I need it in. So it already has it written in the different formats, and again, I can just take and copy and paste that into my Works Cited. I can export it if I want to. I can save it onto a memory stick if I need to, so that I can get to it offline as well, or I can email it to myself. So that's another one I like because it's actual books. You can go in here and see that this is actual James Madison book. It's chapters 1 through 4, and so you have a legitimate library here that you can use. Then the other one I wanted to show you is Britannica School Edition. This is one of those sites that's going to charge you if you just go onto the internet on your own, not through Alabama Virtual Library. They're going to want you to buy a subscription to get to the Britannica. But again, the State Department of Alabama has paid for it. So you can choose, do I need an elementary level, middle level, or a high school level? And so if I'm going to do the high school level, I'll just type in U.S. Constitution. And if you look over on the left-hand side, I can look for articles, images, videos, dictionary, magazines. The website's best. I like that because they've already gone out, Britannica has, and gathered all the very best websites for you already. So instead of you having to go through and try to figure out, is this a legitimate website, is this a good website for educational purposes, they've already done that for you, so you can click on that. And also they've gathered those primary sources and ebooks for you as well. Already they've gathered those for you, so you don't have to look for them. So we can just go in here and pull up an article, and here's the Constitution of the United States of America. Again, on the left-hand side, they have a table of contents. So we could look at the 14th Amendment if we wanted to, and there's more table of contents. is always right there so that we can get our way right back up to where we want to be. If we decide, because we said high school level, if we decide that's a little bit too hard for those babies, we don't have to go all the way back out, we can click on reading level 2 and bring it down a notch for them as well. This also allows them to listen. And so I turned my sound off.
States as a young country.
I turned it off because I could never get the other guy to shut up. So and then you've got right here where you can cite the information, and again, you just go in and pick what style citation, and then you just have it here to be able to copy and paste. So I just love how easy it is for the kids to be able to use. And then you have the little tabs across the top. So if you did want to see images and other things or related materials, you would have all that right there and ready to go. So it works pretty much the same way. So we are now at 3:28, which means we're right on time. What I want you to do now is go ahead and right here in Alabama Virtual Library, look for some sites that you might be able to use in your classroom. For instance, if you're an English teacher, Twain's author series is really good. You have opposing viewpoints if you ever talk about opposing viewpoints in your classrooms. You have the literature resources if you're in history. You have things like the History Reference Center that's really good. And I want you to go through and just explore some of the different databases that are available in here. Like this is newspapers, so it's all just newspaper sources. So I'm going to give you, let's say, 5 minutes. I'm going to set a little alarm. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to go ahead and just explore and see what you find and come up with any questions that you might have. Let me set my...
I type science up there at the top. We'll just give like selections that have science in it.
Oh, I wonder, does it? Let's try it and see. Mine took me off of there. Science, probably, you know, the Britannica, starting there. Also going into that Student Research Center. Any of the health things might have some science in there. Gale Power Search.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, and then we're going to do a little activity where we share some of what we found. Okay.
She did.
Things in there like you live so that she reads all.
Because it opened another window, but instead of it being smaller, your second window, it was full screen. You could see extra.
I would read it. You know I would. Oh, God. I love math like that. I don't love the theory. I just like to
Like application.
yeah. On math or you're true math. Oh, you know what? We wouldn't give this
Geometric problems. Okay, go ahead.
yeah.
Hey, you can click on that and see what it takes. Right, so be like, what?
Nobody will read that with me.
I know, I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'll go ahead. Yeah, there's Infobit Searchosaurus if you're looking for the lure kids. Yeah, yeah. So Infobit or Searchosaurus are good for those really lower grade students as well.
So it's only going to have nonfiction.
Right.
I think it's everything.
I can show you something if Slagle has it unblocked. And if not, he could get it unblocked really quick. Right?
My password's in yours. My password's in yours.
So we should be good.
Search will help it right back. Behind you.
Search for the database.
Search, uh-oh.
Come on.
There's the search source.
Well, where is it?
I already know how to count, but you didn't know, I'd rather have it all day. I got my band.
It's all about the Benjamin thing.
All right. So Debbie asked about what about fictional sources for books. That's not really available on the Alabama Virtual Library, but I've put together on a Pinterest page my ebook sources. For instance, this one's really cool, guys, that I just discovered. They're giving you free audiobook downloads all summer. Every week, 2 new audiobooks that you can download. And you know, for kids that struggle with reading, those audiobooks are really important for them to be able to listen to. And this is absolutely free. You just download the Overdrive app, which is free, and then they can go ahead and download those. So that's through my Pinterest page, but I also have lots of other, and there's our timer for the 5 minutes, but there's all sorts of other books available completely for free that I have on here, all sorts of different online books that you can read, so you can bring in those the fictional text as well. So I'll make sure to send that information out to you. What I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and I will copy that link, and in this presentation right here I will add that. How about I add it down here onto the contact page, and then that way you'll have that link for the Pinterest to come back to later and take a look at some of those resources, because there are lots of free resources. It's just a matter of knowing where to find those. Let me change font color. Okay. All right. So that's there. All right. How do y'all feel looking around and exploring in Alabama Virtual Library? Do you feel pretty confident about knowing how to get back and forth to the different databases, how to type in a search and find different information? That feels pretty okay to you? All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
If just like the search resource is unblocked, and will these things come up if like a scholastic isn't unblocked? Will it come up, or will it be like next? Sometimes it's download.
I don't know. Open one up and let's see, because that looks like it's subscribing. Okay.
Like sometimes when they kids open things,
That's because it blocks, and so you can talk to Slagle about that. When it, do y'all know what she's talking about when they try to bring up an image? It's just the X, and you're kind of like, that's some of the blocks. And so if it's something that you need to use and have it blocked, just tell Slagle. I mean, as long as there's a legitimate purpose for it that you're using that's connected to the curriculum, I don't see where it would be a problem to unblock those sites and have that information to be able to look at. So, still within Alabama Virtual Library, let's just try this Padlet really quick. So you're going to open up a new tab. Just open up a new tab. I'm one of these 100-tab people. And we're going to type into the address bar another URL. And it's a lot longer this time, I apologize, but it was about as short as I could get it. So in the address bar, and if you need help typing into the address bar, let me know. You're going to type in the http://padlet.com/Robertson_Nikki/AVL. And this is kind of a fun way to have your kids be able to share things that they've learned. It's going to ask you for a password, and it's capital AVL. And this is a fun way for your kids to be able to share things they've learned and what they want to say without necessarily having to get up in class in front of other people, because, again, they don't like to look stupid. And so it's capital AVL. There you go. And you should get something that looks like ocean. And I want an ocean thing here. And so what I want you to do here is just share some of the things that you found on the AVL that you like, resource you found, or anything else that you want to share with us about the AVL. And I'm going to type this in as well so that I can kind of show you how this works. And it's really great for those shy kids who otherwise their voices wouldn't be heard. And so you can see Andrea and Sarah have both typed in their names. All you had to do is just double click anywhere, and then it comes up with your name. You just type in your name, and then you can write anything you want to write. You can also add links or upload, or even take a picture with the camera if you had a camera on here. So if you found a site on here, like I saw some of you looking at kids' info bits, so you could grab that link, just copy the link from the info bits, and then put that link on here, and then it's in there for everybody else to see and to use. And if you need help, raise your hand, because I throw out a lot of information. Let's make sure everything's typed in. Yeah, so let me pull up the Padlet again, and let's type in that information. All right, so Padlet and then / okay, I saw one. Yeah, Robertson and then underscore. I think you had a period. And make sure to put that. It's always like a period missing.
How are you doing that? How come we can't do anything?
Go to the little pencil.
Yeah, I tried to type it and someone types it. Do you mind?
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah. And so that's one thing you have to be careful about is someone going to type over you. So you have to kind of scroll down and find your own space.
You see it?
All right, then AVL, all capitals. Okay. All right, and now you should be able to scroll down or come right to the top. And oh, there you are, right here. So you can get style. But I like that you can upload pictures, so if the kids want to share a picture or they want to share a link. So if you've gone out and your kids had some homework and had research and they were supposed to come back with some ideas to show or share, instead of getting up in front of the class and being nervous about that or looking silly, they can all share their information here. This is a good little way for them to be able to share information. And everybody has a voice, because you know there's always that one kid who has everything to say and completely dominates the classroom. Did everyone sign the sign-in sheet? And then, you know, there's some of those kids who you think don't even have vocal cords because they never say anything. If you give them a platform like this, those little kids that you think have no vocal cords will actually start to participate because everyone's being heard equally. And that's what I love about doing something like this. Padlet's absolutely free, very quick and easy to set up. And you can have it password protected so that not just any idiot can get on there and start typing stuff and uploading porn to it or whatever. So you can also moderate it. I didn't moderate this because I trusted you guys, but you can. There's a moderation feature to Padlet so that you have to approve it before it appears for everyone else to see, which is what I'd probably recommend for most students in any school, that you moderate it. And so here you can see the different types of information we have here. And so then you guys can get to this at any time and see this information and share with each other. And so if you find other things you like, you can just continue to add it to the Padlet. You like that? Pretty cool? All right. Now, I'm going to show you something that's going to really blow your mind. So what I have here right now is the next slide is this actual presentation that's being recorded. And you can actually click on this. It's going to take you out to the YouTube channel. And we could go ahead and watch me in real time. Do you see how that's going on right now in real time? So there's people that can be watching me in real time. But how do you get back to this when you want to be able to go back and say, now what the heck did Ms. Robertson show us? Because I can't remember, she showed us too much stuff, which I have a habit of doing. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to pull up a new spreadsheet. I'm in Google Drive. I'm just going to pull up a new spreadsheet. I'm just going to call this Doctopus AVL. And I'm going to do add-ons. If you don't already see Doctopus in your add-ons, you can go to Get Add-ons, and that takes you into the Google Store. And their Doctopus is usually one of the very first things. And it will say open. It'll be blue and will say open, but I already have it. And I'm just going to launch Doctopus and watch what this does, because it's really kind of cool. This was actually invented and put together by a classroom teacher in New York. He's still a classroom teacher right now, Andrew Stillman. And he made it so life would be easier on teachers. So we're going to build a new roster because we haven't built a new roster already. But you can see I've built other rosters for other classes I've taught. So once I've built a roster one time, I don't have to build it again. I can use that roster over and over and over again. So I'm going to say build a new roster, and you're going to see it's going to start populating some information over here. And this is why I got that information from you guys earlier on with your first name and last name. And I'm going to select the method. I just want it right here on this sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and now create that roster. So see, now it's asking for the first name, last name, and email. So that's where I'm going to come back, and I'm going to pull up where you guys did that little form. So I can just come back in. I'm just going to copy and paste. And here's the problem with having a million tabs open. All right. I'm going to copy and paste your information in here, and that's the first step. Going to refresh now that I have that information in here. I'm going to name this. I'll just name it Pinnacle and save the roster. And again, all this is being recorded, so I know I'm showing you a lot of information, but you know how to get me. You know I'll come in and work with you on this. You can also rewindable learning. And so now it's building that roster. Notice how it has your names in here now. So now I'm going to select how do I want to share this. Do I want every student in the class to have the same exact thing? Do I need to differentiate my lessons? So if you have a student with 504 or an IEP, you don't have to go through a whole different process to get that information to them. You can choose which ones have the IEPs and send them a different form than your regular kids, and nobody ever has to know who's getting something different. So it makes that a very private thing. Group projects means exactly that. A form goes out to the group instead of each individual student works in a group. And then whole class is working on something all together, kind of like what we just did with that Padlet. The whole group of us were working on that same document together. I usually just do individual all the same. And you can say that they can edit. I don't want you to edit what I'm sending you today because I'm going to send you the PowerPoint that we just went through. So I'm going to say just view only. But let's say, for instance, you were going to have them write a research paper or an essay. You could send them an MLA template so that they would have that template and they don't have to worry about, is it set up correctly? It's already set up correctly. They can just start typing on that template. And you would do edit so that they could actually edit and work on that template. If you had, if you were working in one of the schools where you had a co-teacher in the classroom with you, you could add that co-teacher and they'd be able to see all the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and save and continue. And that exclude, that's what I would drop down and do if I needed to exclude a student for some reason. Maybe they're out or they have an IEP and I need to do something different for them. Now I'm going to choose the folder. Where is the assignment that I want to share with my students? And so it is important to have your folder set up. I have a Pinnacle folder. Oops. Hold on, I did that wrong. Let's do it again. I forget I had to mark the little checkbox. So I already have a Pinnacle folder set up with everything I want there. So I click on that, and then it's going to say, okay, now what inside of this folder do you want to share with your kids? So that's when I'm going to come in that I want to share that presentation with the kids. I can share a worksheet, a document, Excel, whatever it is, I can share it as long as it's in that folder. So I want to share the presentation with you guys so you can go back and look at it. And in my slideshow, almost everything inside there is clickable, so you can click on those images. This is really cool. I can choose, I want it to be named when it goes out to you. I want it to have your last name, your first name, and then that this is our Doctopus AVL. Or I can change that and have it anyway. So instead of the kids having it named 100 different crazy things, you get to choose what you want that document to be named. And I can either choose an existing folder, I can create a new folder. I'm just going to create a new folder called Pinnacle Doctopus Assignment and the date. And you can always change that to be a different name. And so now it's created that folder for me. And now I'm just going to go in, save and continue. And it's going to put this into, all right, it's letting me have one more chance. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Yes, I'm going to run the copy and share. And now, as soon as it starts to populate, what you're going to see is inside of your Google Drive, and you're going to see right here, it's going to start popping up. Inside of your Google Drive, underneath the Shared With Me folder. All right, like Andrea, you should have it already. Oh, okay. All right, and Fields. So when I say shared with you, right here under Drive, if you click where it says shared with me, you should see that document now with your last name, first name, and AVL. Callie, you should have yours. So if you're having trouble finding it, once you see your name pop up underneath field E, raise your hand and let me know. You might have to refresh your page for it to go through. Did you get it? Yeah. And so now you should be able to click on that and pull up the PowerPoint. And you can just go right through it and click on all the links. The video's there at the end, so if you need to watch the video, you have that available to you. So it's underneath that Shared With Me file. And so isn't that an easy way to send out an assignment to your kids? Now, let me show you one more thing. If I had sent this out to be editable, like they're working on a shared document, let's say they're working on an essay. There's all my students and what I sent out for them to actually write on. I can pull it up in thumbnail view, and I can see every kid's name, and I can look at it anytime I want, and I can see if they've even started working on their project or not. So I don't have to guess, Johnny, did you do your homework last night? I don't have to guess. I can see if Johnny did his homework last night in real time. I can see when he's working on it and what he's done. And then, if this was something that the kids would actually be able to edit, they don't have to turn anything into me. I just have it. They have it in their drive. I have it in my drive. They never have to upload anything and turn it into me. I never have to turn anything into them. I just do it through Dr. Puss and it's there. It's really cool. I would stand at my door and I'd have their assignments in thumbnail view, and I'd say, you haven't even started working on this yet. There's no typing on this yet. And so I always knew what they were doing and what they had done, which they didn't like too much. But, and for instance, one thing I love, and we're almost out of time, so I'm going to let you go, but ISTE presentation. One thing I love too about this, if you ever do group work with kids, is in Google Drive there's this thing called revision history. Have y'all ever seen that? It's the most awesome thing. So here, this is a PowerPoint that I've been working on with 3 other people, and I can come in here and see in detail who put in what, and it's all color-coded. So if I came in and wanted to see what part Alyssa did here and what part Michelle did, I could come in and it's going to be color-coded according to that, and I can see exactly what time. So if you've got an idiot who comes in and deletes everything, it's not gone. You just go into revision history and you can restore whichever revision you want to go to. So instead of having, have you ever had those files where you have like 10 of the same exact thing, but you maybe changed 1 or 2 things on it, and then you're like, oh crap, which is the one I did the last revision on? You don't have to worry about that. All your revisions are right here in one document. You can go back to any other revisions that you have. And, you know, if I come back and restore the revision from June 2nd, I can always come back and restore the latest one as well that was done on June 10th. I can go back and forth as much as I need to. I've had my teachers who gave group grades and had kids who make a 0 on their group grade because they saw they never even got onto the document, or if they did, they got on it one time and never put anything in the document. And so they got a 0 for the group grade.
We don't do too many group projects, but it wouldn't be, I mean, they're going to look for that. Advanced Ed, if we could figure out a way to do that, it'd be good.
Right. Because one thing Advanced Ed looks for as far as the technology is how is it collaborative in nature? How are the kids able to work together on projects, which I know doesn't always work well. But that's an option, and so that's another thing that's really easy to do. So that was AVL. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned some things. I want you to go through and explore. And like I said before, you all now in your Google Drive shared with me, you have the entire presentation. You have the video right here. You know how to contact me. I'm always on Twitter. And I did show them this, Ms. Griffin. I don't think you were in the room at the time. But with AVL, you only have access to the nonfiction books. But I have my Pinterest page here that takes them to some other ebook resources that are free online, whether they're audiobooks or other books that are more like your fictional books. And so then you could search through there and find some different databases where the kids could find different books that they could read there as well. So we've got several different resources now available for them. So this is now, it's almost time for us to leave. So this is our question time. So did anyone have any questions before we leave today that they wanted to ask in front of everybody?
We gave people emails for all the students to access Google Drive.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. We don't have it now, but there's no reason why. We're a Google school. So there's no reason why we couldn't. It'd take a minute to set up.
Right, and you can restrict them.
It's all or nothing. Like if you want them to use Google email, Google Plus, Hangouts, things like that, that means they're going to be able to search Google.
That's
I'm
true.
not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's the reality.
Huh?
They're going to be able to message each other. They one is mad at another one. They can all.
It's true.
Part
Or we could do a
of
group.
my thing is like I don't necessarily think I actually think we do have it to lock down our computers and the internet and like that. But one of the things that we have to do is, as teachers, we have to take responsibility to monitor them. It's not Barracuda's job to make sure that the kids are not going on Facebook. it's kind of ours to like do something if they're doing it.
Right, and with Google Apps for Education, you have a lot of control on the management end of what they can actually get to and what they can't get to. So you do have that. The thing is, what you're talking about, where they can talk to each other, they can do that because, you know, you can bring up a document and they do have the option to come over here and comment on, and I can't get to where it is. I don't know why my screen's doing this, but there is a comment button over here and they can comment. But the thing is, if you sent it out to them using Doctopus, you can see absolutely everything that happens on everybody's document, and you can see who has said what, because they have to log in with their username and everything. And so you have that username, you have exactly what time and date they said what, and you have that information there. And so, you know, it's helping to teach digital citizenship to the kids too, because I mean, look how many adults get in trouble when they get out into the real world with social media because nobody's ever taught them how to use social media in a responsible manner. So, you know, that's a discussion you'll have to have with the powers that be here at this school. So we're done with the screen share and with the presentation side. Just click back over on the screen share. It brings us back to the camera. You can all wave. Yay! We had a good time. All right. And so now I can simply